January was rough, and I still managed to make almost 10,000 gross revenue in my reselling on Poshmark and eBay business, as well as social media and digital products that I sell. And in today's video, I am not only going to be showing you how much of that gross revenue actually makes it into my bank account once you take out cost of goods, shipping and fees, expenses, and then what I save for taxes. I'll be sharing with you also the split out, because I am on social media. I want to show full transparency on how much is reselling and how much comes from social media. And then I will be sharing with you guys my tracking and my 2022 goals and kind of checking in on how they performed in January. If you're new to this channel, this is a monthly video that I do. So if you want to see past videos, or if you want to see all of 2021, how I ended, go ahead and check out how much money I made playlist, and then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see future videos as well, looking at the business side of it and the numbers on the back end. Today's video, like I said, I'll be sharing my profit and loss statement. So I'll be sharing that gross number, what you would see on a 1099, but then taking out my cost of goods, my shipping, my fees, my expenses, and then how much I save for taxes, and then showing you the split out as well between all of my revenue that comes in my business, and then checking in on my 2022 goals. So before we get into that, just for those who are new, I want to give you a little bit of background of the numbers that we'll be looking at. So today's video, we are looking at January 2022 numbers. It was a rough month. I've said in some of my other videos, I'll quickly touch you up here, or you can check out this video to get a little more in depth into what happened, but I was working about 5 hours a week. This is not typical. It's not a long-term goal that you cannot make passive. You know, this income was essentially passive for me in January because I was hardly working, but I get ahead. I have a banking video I'll link up here of how I'm able to do this. I was only working 5 hours a week because my kids at the beginning, I'm a mom of 3, my kids at the beginning of the month of January were out for school, so I was home with them, hardly working, and then my husband went back to New England to be with family for the passing of his grandma. He came back and brought us all COVID, so all of us had COVID. I'm on week 3 from symptoms, and I'm still taking a nap and I kind of have brain fog, so it wasn't just me being sick, it was me taking care of other sick people, so I was really just launching drafts every single day that my VAs were preparing and shipping. That's essentially what I was doing. There was a week or 2 in there that I was not even sending offers or doing sales or anything because I really wanted to lower my sales because I didn't want to be shipping as much. Like I said, this is not my normal. My normal is 10 to 20 hours. I am working on now in February getting caught back up. I'm usually about 3 to 4 weeks ahead on photos so that I have them ready to send to my virtual assistant, as well as on YouTube videos. And this is exactly why, because my life is very inconsistent. I was still able to make almost $10,000 in January because I spent the time ahead knowing my life is inconsistent. There's going to be weeks that I'm not able to work. I'm prepped, I'm ready so that I can still continue to stay consistent in my reselling business, whether it's things come up or I want to take a vacation. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I am a mom of 3. Normally, I do only work part-time hours, 10 to 20 hours, when my preschooler is in half day, about 2.5 hours in the morning. I do have 3 digital products, 3 dashboards, as well as 2 courses. So you'll see the split out of that in this revenue. This is, my total revenue for my entire business. I go really in depth into my reselling numbers. If you guys want to get a little bit more into that, I'll link the video up here for my January numbers as well. I am on social media. You're watching me on Instagram, so I do make an income on Instagram. I am not a big social media person. I am not making, you guys will see the split out in a minute. The majority of my reselling business is from reselling, not from social media, but it is YouTube. And then Instagram has a new program. They're like beta testing a new program to get paid for Instagram Reels that I've been participating in as well. So that's the income that's coming from social media. Virtual assistants. I do have 2 virtual assistants that do help me cross list. They do lists. I take photos and send it to them and they create drafts. They cross list, they take items off, they do some back end spreadsheet work, and then I slowly started training them and doing some back end YouTube work for me as well. thrifts and liquidation. I do mostly women's clothing, shoes, and purses. I'm getting more into thrift stores and bins and less into liquidation as, things opened up and I have more time. Last year, 2020, I was at home remote teaching 3 children, so I really didn't have the time to be outsourcing. So that's what we're doing. Let's go ahead and get into the numbers and take a look at how I ended. I want to go ahead and come on down here first and take a look at my January. So I ended, the blue is going to be 2022. The red is, that's pink, is going to be 2021 revenue. So you can see on a gross level, we'll get to the bottom number in a minute and I'll tell you how that compares to last year. But at a gross, I'm pretty net neutral, but if you look at the nitty gritty of the numbers, I'm about $400 less than I was last year. I'm pretty stoked about this based off of my month as well as just January in general. And let me know down below how your sales were. But we had the highest rates ever during the pandemic in January. People were sick. They were not out shopping. And you add to that, inflation is just continuing to go up. I think sales in general, not just me not being able to work as much, but I think sales in general were down as well. So having a net neutral to last year, I'm not in growth mode. I'm trying to just maintain what I have. And instead of increasing my growth, I'm trying to work on increasing my net. And you guys will see a little bit more of that in a minute. That is one of my 2022 goals. I'm out of space. I work from home. I'm out of space and I'm essentially out of time. So I've kind of grown where I want to be. As long as I can keep around the same growth, I'm happy. And that happened in January of 2021, even with not really working. Like I said, that is not long-term sustainable, but I do get ahead so that when I do have those months, it's able to happen. So that's where we are. I'm about net neutral to let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm about net neutral to last year. Let's see, did that help? Oh no, that's the same size. That's not any bigger. That's the same size. Let's see. You guys see that better? Okay, so we are looking at January 2022. This is going to be a profit and loss statement. If you guys are good in spreadsheets, you can build this out. I just enter in, pull my reports, enter in the information, and then have a profit and loss statement. If this is not something, this is essentially what I use for my taxes and I give to my CPA. If you're not really good at spreadsheets, you can get, GoDaddy, Quickens, QuickBooks, can tie to your bank accounts and will produce reports similar to this. So gross, this is your top number. This is your 1099 number, $9,597.12. I currently have 1,634 available listings. This is what I have listed on platforms. This does not include my backlog. Probably, I think it's like around 400 items that still need to be listed. Let's go ahead and take a look at my cost of goods sold. This is how many, I sold 235 items. So this is what it costs me to sell those items. It's roughly a $6, I think it's like $6.55 cost of goods for the items that sold. This is significantly down from last year. And this goes into my gross isn't increasing, but as some of these pieces of the profit and loss, if those go down, then my net increases. So I end up taking more money home, even though I'm not making more money. So stay tuned and keep watching. You guys, I will compare my net to last year. So keep in mind my gross is the same compared to last year, but let's take a look at what my net's doing at the end of the video. So this is about a $6.55 cost of goods. This is not how much money I spent in January. This is how much it cost me to sell the items that sold. 235 items sold. That is down from last year, but my average sale price is holding pretty steady and my cost of goods is going down. I have a 6% return rate currently. That is all eBay right now. I do have free returns. So I have returns where I pay on like 90% of my items. This gives me, and we'll get to this in a minute when I get to fees, but this gives me a 10% discount on my fees. And so yes, 6%. Guys, 6%. Like if you're considering returns, and I sell women's clothing, that is one of the highest return categories because people try it on, it doesn't fit, and they send it back. It's very rarely for anything other than fit. And it's 6%. Yes, I don't love getting that, but my sales our increase, I'm selling, if you're scared to do returns, you're talking 6%. That's not that many. You're losing out on $10,000 because you don't want to miss out on 6%. Even if those items, and none of them, I've had one item come back to returned because I'm a top rated seller plus seller, eBay paid me half of what the person paid. And, so I didn't even lose money. I actually still made money. I didn't make as much as I could have, but I still made more than my cost of goods. And that was one item in the 2 years that I have sold. So, but even if all 6% of those came back damaged, that's still $10,000. It's less than that on eBay, but that's still thousands of dollars I would be missing out on if I didn't have that in returns. I'm not going to get much more into that, but I will go ahead and link a video up above on how to decide if returns are right for you, looking at your numbers, looking at the charts and graphs that eBay gives you and the tools. They give you tools to help you figure out based off of your numbers and what you sell if it's something that's going to work for you. So let's go ahead and look at what that brings down my gross profit to $8,057.91. So this is taking my gross top number, taking out my cost of goods. My profit is now $8,000, but we still have shipping and fees. We still have expenses, and then how much I save each month to pay quarterly taxes. This gives me a percentage of 83.96%, almost 84%. So of what I sold, you take out my cost of goods. Of what I sold, it's 83%. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth on my 2022 numbers, but my 2022 goals at the end of the video, but I want to touch on it because this is something I am working on. Last year, my gross profit percent was 74%. I have been working towards the end of the year and then right now on increasing that. Like I said, I can't get my gross higher, but if I can lower some of these line items on my profit and loss statement, cost of goods being one of them, my net is increasing. So I'm making 10% more. And 10% is huge, guys. Like that's $1,000 on $10,000, right? 10% more strictly by decreasing my cost of goods, but keeping my average sale price the same. If you decrease your cost of goods and your average sale price goes down as well, you're not really making any more money. This is not by luck. This 10% has been driven by strategic decisions that I'm making on my business and my numbers. If you guys want to learn what I'm doing and learn how I look at the numbers, it's going to be different for everybody. So I show you my numbers and my analytics and what I'm doing so that you can do the same for yourself. Because what I look at, what I sell, what I have access to is different, but the analytics and the numbers that you can look at to drive these decisions is going to be the same for everybody. So I am up there. If you want to look at an hourly rate, this isn't skewed per se because I did really work minimal hours. This is based off of working 5 hours a week. Like I said, this is not long term. This was a rough month, but I get ahead and I prepare for these months in the months that I am working 10 to 20 hours a week. So I did make almost $500 an hour in January because I wasn't really working. This is gross. We'll keep going down to what my net hourly rate is. But like I said, this is not a normal month. So now let's go ahead and look at your selling fees and shipping. There's not a ton that you can do about this. This is essentially for me kind of a pass through, but it is part of a profit and loss statement. You start with your gross number at the top, your selling fees, and your shipping. So I do sell on Poshmark and eBay. Those are the only two platforms I'm on. Poshmark is a flat 20%. Unless you sell an item under $15, then it's $2.95. So a little bit over the 20%. Depending on how much the item sells for. My average sale price is like $30. So that doesn't really happen. 20% on Poshmark. My eBay selling fee. So this is where it gets kind of tricky. And I'll link a video up above. You can only link so many videos. So if I run out of being able to put it in the cards, they are all linked down in the description. My selling fees on eBay, I will link a video on how to figure out what your selling fees are because it does get very complex. It depends on what you sell on. It depends on if you do promoted listings. It depends on if you do promoting listings advanced. It depends if you are a top rated seller plus. So I do promoted listings. I promote everything at 2%. I will link a video of promoted listings, how to do it, and how to decide and look at your numbers on eBay if it's actually making you more money and if it's worth it for you. I will link the video in the cards as well as in the description in case I run out of cards. So I do promoted listing. I do 2%. I have done multiple analysis on my channel to figure out, and that's what works for me. It's something different is going to work for everybody. Instead of just doing what I do, I highly recommend checking out that video and figuring out what works for you. I do not do promoted listing advanced beta. This is their new video. I will put the promoted listing advanced beta video down below. Go in depth into that. I do not do that. I do, however, offer free returns. I am a top rated seller, which means that I hit all the metrics. I'm, essentially a good seller in eBay's eyes. And then also on 90% of my items, I do offer free returns, which then makes me a top rated seller. Plus, on any item that I have those free returns on, I get a 10% discount on my fees. So that put me at a 13% fee. It was like 12.75 or something like that, roughly 13% fees on eBay for the month of January. Shipping, I do. So on Poshmark, if you're on Poshmark, it is unless you give a shipping discount, the buyer pays shipping. So it would not come out of this number. If you give a shipping discount, you are now paying for it as the buyer. You're paying for that discount and that comes out. My shipping discounts are very minimal on Poshmark. So this is mostly going to be eBay. eBay, I do flat rate shipping. So not to be confused with flat rate shipping from USPS, but anything under, I'm in Colorado, so I'm in the middle of the state. It costs me roughly about the same anywhere in the United States that I ship to. So anything under £1 is $5.50. It makes it easy for the buyer. It's competitive with what other people are selling, and it just makes it easy to list and know what it's going to be. I've noticed with calculated shipping, oftentimes it'll charge higher than it actually costs me to, and I'm not trying to make money on shipping. I'm just trying to not lose money on shipping. So I do that, and I've done analysis. Sometimes I pay a little bit more, sometimes I pay a little bit less, and it ends up working out. So that's kind of where we're at with my selling fees and my shipping. So now we're down to your contribution margin. So this is how much of that grows once you take out your cost of goods, your selling fees, and your shipping. And now we're down to $5,484.14. That's going to put me at a 57%. I actually did not write down this number. I just looked at the gross profit, but I do know that this typically for me is around 48 to like 52% over 2021. So this is definitely increasing as well. This is not really increasing because I'm changing anything with the selling fees and shipping. I can't really sway that. The only thing I can really do is on eBay, getting that 10% discount there, maybe turning off my promoted listings to decrease those fees, but that's also for me going to decrease my gross revenue. So I've let me know what you guys think below if there's another way, but this is kind of like as minimal as I can get it with keeping my gross revenue up there. 57% contribution margin. I'm still very happy with that. And as resellers, we're pretty lucky because we have low cost of goods typically. And then we'll get into my expenses. Let's go ahead and look at it. We'll get into my expenses, and our expenses typically are pretty low overhead. I do work from home. So talk to your CPA what you can claim. So I do work from home. I claim some of that. There are still some expenses, but they tend to be very minimal. My biggest expense, and we'll look at it in a minute, we'll look at the breakout of my expenses so you guys can see that. My expenses, I clicked on that too much. My expenses for the month of January 2022, $1,501. And let's go ahead and look at that breakout. So the majority, if you've been watching my channel before, the majority of my expenses are going to be a virtual assistant. And that's absolutely true. I've done videos. I will link a video. I'm probably out of card videos, but it will be linked down below how to know if a virtual assistant is right for you. It does cost money for a virtual assistant. You can see it's my highest expense, but for me, it increases my revenue and my bottom line is still higher using a virtual assistant. So that's definitely the biggest part. Last month in January, I did have an office supply as a second biggest part, and that's because I bought a walking treadmill to put under my desk. This is not an ongoing expense. Was kind of like I've been wanting it for a while. I found one on sale. It is linked in my Amazon links down below if you guys want to see what it is. But I walk while I'm working in my office. So that was not an ongoing expense, but kind of yay for me extra in January. And then other things that come out of my expenses, I pay for List Perfectly. I pay for cross listing software, my phone, my internet, my electricity, trash, IT, and tech. Those are all numbers because I do work from home. Those are numbers that my CPA has said, hey, as a business from your home, here is a percent of those bills that you can take out for your business. Because here's the thing, you want to take out as many expenses as you can. What's coming, the taxes are paid on your bottom line. So once you take out your cost of goods, once you take out your shipping and fees, and once you take out your expenses, you want that bottom line to be as low as it can, right? I mean, don't take out expenses that don't qualify. Talk to a CPA, but the lower that number is, the less taxes you will pay, right? Those are all numbers my CPA, I am not a tax expert, reach out to a CPA. Those are all numbers that my CPA has told me that they are okay to take. So now let's go ahead and look at, I didn't look at the split out. Okay, so let's take out the expenses and then we'll go ahead and check out the split out of what the split out is before we look at what my bottom line number is that we take out taxes. So let's look at the split out here. This is the split out of my entire business. Let me go ahead and move this down. There we go. Okay, so this is my revenue split out. Like I said, I am on Poshmark on eBay. I have an Amazon affiliate, so that 0.1%, thank you to whoever bought something on my Amazon affiliate. Obviously, you can see by this split out, that is not a large chunk of my business. It is not a focus in my business. I have a link down there of things because like the treadmill, I mention it in a video and people will ask me, so I put it all in an Amazon store so you guys have access to things that I like and I enjoy. I don't do it to necessarily make money. I do it because they're things that I like, and as a social influencer, I want to show you guys things that I use. I don't put things on there that companies have paid me to. It's only things that I use personally, I have tried out and I like and I think will give you value. Affiliates, this is me being paid to promote something. Again, I think this is only List Perfectly. I think it is only List Perfectly. That's probably the only one I'm an affiliate for. If you watch my channel, you know I don't promote List Perfectly. I don't not promote it. Like I mentioned it in this video when people ask, but I don't get paid promotions from List Perfectly. I use List Perfectly and I like it. And so when people ask me what I use or they watch a video and they want to know, I have an affiliate link. They pay me for it. So I'm not going to turn down that money, but it's not a part of my business that I focus on. I use it kind of as like a side note, if that makes sense. Social media. So this is YouTube and Instagram Reels. That's 3% of my business. Some social media followers that you find, some social media resellers are going to have a much larger piece of the chunk. This is not a big chunk of my business. You can see reselling is almost 80% of my business. The dashboards and digital products, that is 11%. That is the largest chunk outside of reselling. These are the dashboards. I'm not showing any in this video. You guys can check out a lot of my other videos, looking at data and analytics. It's a Google sheet. You can enter your information and do it. So that is, outside of reselling, that is the largest chunk of my business. So let's come on back over here and we will take a look at my profit before taxes. So this is going to be essentially my bottom line that I am taking taxes out of. And this ends up being $3,982. That's $200 an hour. Like I said, I only worked 5 hours. This is not my normal week. This is not sustainable long term. What happened in January? Come February, I would have been out of photos. So I'm working really hard to get back up to where I was before in case this does happen again. But it puts me at a 41% profit before taxes. So before you turn off, we are going to talk about taxes a little bit because every single month I take a hold for my taxes. I'm at the point in my business where I pay quarterly taxes. So I save a little bit each month and pay a quarterly tax, and then we file at the end of the year with my husband. And I will share with you, I sent them in this week. I will share with you what it ends up being. So I will tell you how much I save for taxes, and then we'll go over my 2020 goals. But definitely make sure to subscribe because in one of these videos, when I get my taxes back, I will update you guys on how much I did end up paying, the percentage of my business for all of 2021. But I do want to touch a little bit on this profit before taxes number because I mentioned, I'm trying to find the number, I wrote it down. I did mention before that we looked before, sorry guys, I'm trying to find the number. There it is. Okay. So we looked before at at the very beginning of the video, at the beginning of the video, you know, my gross was essentially the same as 2021, but I really worked, you know, towards the end of last year, and definitely I'm really working hard this year to lower some of those profit and loss line items so that even if my gross is not growing, my net does. And so my profit before taxes in 2021, remember my gross is the same, my profit before taxes in 2021 was $3,801. And then you can see in 2022, same gross here, it is $3,982. So I ended up making almost $200 more, even though my gross was essentially the same. It's not a lot, you know, we're not talking thousands of dollars here, but with less sales and essentially the same gross, I was making more net profit. So let's talk a little bit about taxes, and then I'll show you that tax number. I assume a 5% tax rate. We have a 5% state tax in Colorado. I assume a 15.9% self-employment rate, and I assume a 20% federal tax rate. These are numbers that I am given by my CPA based off of my numbers in my business and based off of my husband's income. So, you know, because we file together. So yours is going to be different, and it's going to depend at the end of the year when everything comes in, what credits we get and what expenses, and my CPA goes through. Oftentimes, that will decrease a little bit, but I would rather have more money saved than have to pay more and not have it. So I save 40% of that profit before tax number every single month and file quarterly. So that is going to, oh, sorry guys, I opened a new tab instead of clicking on the tab. So that is going to put me at profit less tax, $2,389.66. That puts me at a $119.48 an hourly rate. So real quick, I'm going to just check in on my 2020 goals. I've kind of touched on them throughout the video. I want to check in on those really quick. So my 2020 goal, like I mentioned before, is I've kind of grown. I'm out of growth mode. I've maximized my space. I've really worked on processes and maximized my time to the best extent that I can. So I'm trying to work on keeping that gross where it's at, but trying to increase that net. In January, I did. It was only $200, but I did do it. So what I'm doing is working on decreasing those cost of goods without decreasing my average sale price. Ideally, increasing my average sale price would be ideal. So that's where I'm at. So my goal number one is to increase my net by continuing to decrease my cost of goods. I did that. My goal number two for 2022 is increasing other parts of my business, right? So my reselling business is kind of as efficient and as good as I can get it. Little tweaks here and there, but I'm not really in growth mode. But I do have other parts of my business, affiliates, dashboards, digital products, working on increasing those. And that kind of goes a little bit into goal number three, which is decreasing my expenses where I can. So January was rough. I wasn't able to work on my affiliates, my dashboards, digital products, you know, kind of working on increasing that business. But what I did work on is training my virtual assistant to take over some other aspects of, like, I'm out of time. So I have trained my virtual assistant in some back end YouTube, freeing up some of my time when we aren't all sick, freeing up some of my time so that I'm now not working on back end stuff and I can start working at maybe, you know, affiliates or more digital products, or I'm not really sure what that's going to look like yet. It's only February. I have time, but I am slowly working at progressing there in training my virtual assistant. So my expenses did not go down in my virtual assistant, but they're doing more work, right? Which will free up more of my time, hopefully increase some of that growth in aspects other than my reselling business. If you like this video, YouTube thinks you'd also like this video. I will link how to make money reselling videos here, and then make sure to hit that subscribe button.